Morning and welcome to everybody joining us here in person or watching our live streaming Foothills County Fire Board meeting on January 29th, 2026. So we'll call the meeting to order here at 9:01. And to begin with, I just note all present. We have a special announcement perhaps to begin with. So I'll ask Director Sonia if you'd like to make that announcement.
Sure, thank you. Before we get going, I'd just like to say congratulations to Alex on your promotion to fire chief. This is a well-deserved milestone and a reflection of your leadership. Well-deserved, and your commitment to our fire service. I'm looking forward, as I believe we all are, to continue working with you together and supporting you every step of the way. Thanks.
Yay.
Thank you. Everyone.
Yes, welcome. So I'll just mention quickly for a note for all those who might be observing our meeting that we have a full contingency of our fire board present, minus one person. So we have Fire Chief Alex Marshall, Director Rick Saunier, CNO Brian Payne may be observing, I'm not sure if he's on, Battalion Chief Will Sherhorn, Councillor John Callister, Councillor Laura Kendall, myself, Councillor Suzanne Olin, Deputy Reeve, Administration Expert Katrina Mickelson, and Manager of Legislative Services, Sherry Barrett, who's streaming our meeting. Thank you, Sherry. We have Graham Clark, Ryan McCabe. You guys can let me know if I pronounced anything incorrectly. Ren Niebler. Stan is unable to join us today, so thank you, Stan, for the notice. Stan Seward, Mark Janum, Jack Medina, and Paul Magnus. So welcome to everybody. Hope I got everybody listed off there. So people always want to know who's present in our meeting, so that was our effort to do that. The first matter of on our agenda, matter of business, is the adoption of the agenda and additions to the agenda. Does anyone have anything additional to what you have seen in your inbox and now as a paper copy in front of you right now? All right, then I will just take a motion from a willing member to move that forward, please. That would be Mark moves it, and all in favor? You. Now looking at the minutes, I did notice there was a few spelling mistakes just up in the top of the names and the council words. So we will make those edits. Would somebody like to provide any other comments or a motion towards those minutes? They're very brief as we only had this closed session on the last meeting. And if someone would like to move that with the edits that will be provided. So we'll go into the motion now. Thank you, John. All in favor? Thank you, everyone. We have no items under old business unless there's anything that is coming from the presentation team. Is there anything under old business that you need to report on? So that's a wash. We don't have any need for making note of that. And we're over now to new business. The first matter is the fire advisory, which is a state of advisory which we're in currently, and we'll look to Fire Chief for that update or Director for that?
I can provide a brief update on that.
Go ahead.
So we're currently on a fire advisory right now. So the advisory is it's just basically that's up there. Just be careful out there when you are burning. So there are no people are still allowed to burn the barrels, their fire pits and piles, but it's just a cautionary measure. And this is due to the weather, the conditions. I know we have some snow right now, but we're back into some more warmer weather coming up here. And residents can look at Alberta fire bans and update for the surrounding areas and the regional partners and see where they're at and see where we're at with actual bans, restrictions, and advisories. And off to the left of your Alberta Fire Bans website, if you go in there, you can actually click on the little links and they'll give you updates for each municipality or county as well. So we're currently at the advisory. We're going to continue to monitor the weather, make sure everything's good there, and if things change, we'll make sure we make the appropriate changes as we go. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions on our current status or anything related to that? Not seeing any. Thank you. now we have a nice presentation put together here and also a new agenda package so you can follow along. And it is number 2, the 2025 year review. And would our fire chief be doing that?
Yep. I'll have
You're
this.
on. Okay.
Okay. I came across a document from about 2020 that Fire Chief Rick Sonny did back then. And I thought it was really well done. And when we went into Christmas, I was kind of reflecting on the year we had here and looking back at some of the great things we did. And I thought it was prudent to do this and get it out to Fire Board Council and our stations. Just trying to show all the great things we did. There's a lot of stations like Pritis might not hear the great things we did in Blackie and so forth. So
year was definitely malfunction of an electrical component. The most common cause of fires, of vehicle fires, is incomplete mechanical work. And I just wanted to note that we did not have a single electrical vehicle fire last year. I'm still waiting for my first electric vehicle fire. It's the most common asked question, and I don't have any information from the fire boards, so. And the most common cause of wildland fires is misuse of an incendiary object, usually consisting of a burning barrel or fireworks. We did quite a bit of community fire prevention in 2025. We had some fire safety talks at local schools. We had an open house here at Heritage Point. And we also had 3 community groups come in, and we presented to them here as well. We did a fair bit of fire smarting stuff last year. We had 3 community education events, and including 1 community cleanup. Currently, Prentice Greens is our only recognized community with Fire Smart recognition. And last but not least, development reviews. We completed 41 development reviews for new businesses within Foothills County.
Thank you for the report and all the work that you guys went to put it together. And at this time, I'll call upon the members if you have anything to share or questions to ask to our fire chief and our battalion chief. And I might note back on the stats page where we have full volume by station called height, which shows the numbers and the types of incidents. I'm always curious every time you provide us a report to see where we land in the percentages for responding to what is called here rescue and EMS. So in other words, either responding or co-responding to our partners there with our partners. And out of the stats, it was 360 total, according to my math, if my calculator was working last night, 360 out of the 786. And that is a percentage of 46%. And sometimes it's 50 or more, but it's still a pretty high percentage. And then the fires, just out of curiosity to compare what you have listed as fire, came in at 14.7. So it really shows how much work we're doing in the community. The face of the fire department is showing up in people's challenges, but in particular medical as well. So just we're quite conscious of it at the council table as to the issues related to responding and the timeliness of the response from EMS and the complicated situation with the lack of ambulances. So I'm always paying attention to that. And I don't know if there's anything to share on that topic at all, maybe from the director. Is there anything? We have a report from our partners at the end of this agenda, but I don't know if there's anything in relation to ambulance that's share worthy at this time.
Just the report that's coming up at the end there.
Okay.
Just the report that's coming is just a high level, just try and capture what the AHS is doing, the EHS is doing with lights and sirens. Yeah, so.
Thank you. So over to any members of the board that would like to ask questions in relation to the statistics. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. From the chair to Rick or Alex, I guess. Spruce Meadows, 13 members. So the air support unit relocated from Diamond Valley to Spruce Meadows with SCBA. What does SCBA stand for?
So that's our self-contained breathing apparatus. So that's the air packs the firefighters wear. So that truck houses air cylinders. So anytime there's a structure fire, that truck gets towed to it. It literally just has bottles on. It's like, we call it a rehab truck as well, but it's simply got air bottles on it. So our air bottles that we wear into the fires have 45 minutes worth of air in it. When we're working, we can blow through that in 15-20 minutes. So you come out, get a new cylinder, and away you go. So that SCBA truck goes to every structure fire. The 2 members or 4 members that are on it set up it's got a rehab tent as well. So in wintertime, a heated area for firefighters to come sit, recover, get fluids. And that truck has the air cylinders on it as well.
And that is the only truck that we have in Foothills County to serve structure fires?
For air support, yeah. So every truck that goes to a structure fire, every engine that goes to a structure fire typically has about 6 to 10 extra air bottles on it as well. But that truck goes for every single structure fire.
Or there's an auto zone.
Yeah, as soon as a structure fire comes in, doesn't matter the location, whether it's Blackie, even with our mutual aid partners, Diamond Valley, High River, Okotoks, they can ask for that truck and it goes. It is the only one in this area that has that. It's F-450 just carrying air tanks.
Right, and follow up from Suzanne's Deputy Reeve Suzanne Rose comment on the ambulances. So I understand a lot of firefighters are EMT trained, paramedic trained as first responders. And a lot of times you guys get there before an ambulance would get there. So I'm just curious about what apparatus you have there on the truck to stabilize, say, a patient that can't breathe or has a heart issue, something like that.
Yeah, so through our staff, we have people trained from various levels. We have people that can work on the ambulance. We have paramedics on staff. Our medical kits are right up to what you would see on the ambulance. A few less drugs than what you would see on the ambulance. We typically don't administer too many drugs like the paramedics do. The kits you see on our trucks can handle from cardiac arrest on, you name it. All our kits are supposed to be standardized throughout all our stations and all our trucks. So the engines have a full kit on it, right down to our rapid trucks like you see out here. They all have a full fleet of medical kits. And depending who's on the truck responding, they work within their scope of training. But we handle everything from cardiac arrest right on to stabilize patients.
And do we try and staff each truck with somebody that's got that training specifically just to kind of split that talent pool up a little?
Yeah, it's we do in this building for sure. This is the only full-time hall here, so we can build our team accordingly. We have some people that are really into that medical portfolio and trained to EMT level. So we'll try to divide them up and get at least one on each group in this building. In our volunteer stations, it's kind of you take what you get. You know, if the first 3 people that show up, they're getting on the truck and they're going. And if those are the paramedics, so be it. If they're not, they do the best they can with the response, right? So
Thank you.
yep.
Any questions?
Question through the chair to the floor. So what was behind the reasoning that the air support vehicle went to Spruce Meadows, and why did Diamond Valley give it up?
It's a Foothills County owned apparatus, not Diamond Valley. So it was stationed out in Diamond Valley for them to utilize. They were using it for the same purposes we are. The air cylinders need to go into Calgary to get hydrostatic tested periodically. And that was a program that we had to do in 2025. So it was a big project, and that truck, the air cylinders are not easy to transport. So that truck has special cradles to house the cylinders. So we utilize that to move 30 cylinders at a time to the city. And then we also aided High River Fire Department doing the same testing. So it was really brought out for that hydrostatic testing purpose.
So no reasoning in that maybe Spruce Meadows is more central than Diamond Valley when that truck is needed, nothing along those lines?
When we took it at the time, it was really for the hydrostatic testing. That is why we needed it. It's done very good responding out of Spruce Meadows. The response for Spruce Meadows, we have a lot of individuals that live close to that station, are very quick to that station. We've never had a situation where that truck has been unable to respond out of Spruce Meadows. So it's done really well there. And then we've outfitted it, like I say, this last year with a tent and a heater and made it more of a rehab truck. So we can utilize it as well for any long duration event. It doesn't need to be a structure fire. If there's an ice rescue or a long MVC car crash where we're waiting for reconstruction specialists, and -20, it just gives the firefighters a spot to go and get warm and that kind of thing. So it's done really well out of Spruce Meadows.
Good. Just another question. Congratulations, by the way. on
Thank you
becoming
very
fire
much.
chief. Just curious about that process. Was there any other applicants or was it just an internal application?
I'll let my director speak to that one. Not to put him on the spot, but I'll.
Not to be long, I'm just
No,
curious.
this was a direct promotion.
Okay,
Yes, well deserved.
so you didn't have to look around. Okay, perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just had another question. So the mutual aid partners, is there any stats for them, or do you factor that into your report at all, or?
I didn't for this year in review. I really wanted to focus on our stations.
Yeah.
I certainly can, if that's the desire of this board moving forward. We track every time someone comes into the county. We enter those calls into our system, so I can certainly run those reports moving forward, but I didn't bring those to this meeting today. I kind of wanted to do that.
Okay, it's just like for me, my division, the issues with the residents in Division 3, we're way out. Well, Suzanne's way out there too, Benita too, I guess, but yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a concern for us because we feel like, and when I say we, I just mean issues that have come up to me. And there's been 3 major fires, recent memory for me, 2 house fires, and then the wildfire, I'll call it a wildfire, it didn't get to the structure, but it certainly could have on the day of the gale force winds. The way we look at it is Diamond Valley is just that much closer. And I get that you probably have your protocols of how those calls go out, but yeah, I'm just curious about how that all works. And I understand you guys are the central hub of it all and the full-time people and all that. So, it is an area of a concern for us. We personally, I would like Diamond Valley to be called right away when there's anything in Division 3. Not to interrupt your protocol or anything like that, but it is just an area of concern that we have in response times and whatnot.
So I think, we were gonna handle this in a round table, but I think
Oh,
now is
sorry.
appropriate.
I think I can handle this right now.
Sure, we'll dive right into it here.
Okay.
This is a map so let's just hang on a second. A map is being handed out.
Sure. So the map that Fire Chief's sending out right now illustrates our fire response zones. So each fire hall within those areas, the zone has been created as a first call out through dispatch, because they would be the closest station or the quickest station in that area. So this has been developed quite a few years ago. So I'll just go into kind of an explanation how the call comes into dispatch. So the 911 call taker, they'll take the call, they'll ask where is the emergency, what is happening, and usually looking for a callback number as well. So the location's confirmed, they'll lock down the address, location, the call info. And they take the words from the caller. It's critical information that comes into dispatch, so they're listening. So identify the problem, and based on what the caller is saying, we determine if it's a house fire, if they smell smoke, it's a grass fire, NBC, or what you have it. So depending on the information that the call taker is receiving, they determine what the call is. So it gives the instructions. So some call takers at dispatch will, could give instructions to the caller, like if they need to leave the home, if it's CO2, if they need to evacuate, do not re-enter, ask if they, simple things like, can you use a fire extinguisher and stuff like that. So they create an incident on CAD, which is a computer aided dispatch. And that opens up an incident with location, type, priority, and it also includes the notes. So any notes that they got from the caller, because they're critical. So what they do is they the CAD will look up run cards and response plans, which is like this map here. So it goes to the map and a response area. And then what it does is locates that incident on that, and they will send out to the appropriate department that they need to respond. So it sends out. So that would mean the closest resources chosen through the CAD. The alert goes out, so dispatch will send off tones or pager alerts. Our volunteers carry radios, so the radios would go off. This station actually has a tone in the station, so that would audible go off. And then over the radio, dispatch would give a description. So while they're taking all this information, as the call takers take information at dispatch, once they realize what is happening, where it is, they've already started to tone out the stations while they're still taking information. So they alert the nearest station according to the map, and the crews. So the crew that gets toned out will acknowledge over the radio, yes, station 9 copies. They make their way to the truck. Engine 9 up with 3, tender up with 1. So they acknowledge. They let dispatch know we're responding. Number of personnel that are responding in the truck, and if there's any updates, dispatch, because they're still talking to the caller. If there's any critical updates, they will start communicating that over the radio. If there's more information that the crews will need to know as they're driving, and that could change as they're driving to the call as well. So things, it's dynamic, so it changes all the time, right? So as the updates go through the caller like that, so when our crews get on scene, or even as information's coming in, they could request further resources as they're driving, right? So that's usually up to the duty officer or the chief officer in the truck. So they could ask for more resources, right? Or they could, be based on a call, get on scene, do a 360, realize I don't need more resources, or I do need more resources. And depending on the resources they need, they will call out another station, right? Let's say it's an ice rescue. Not every station in the county or one of our mutual aid partners, they're not all trained in ice rescue. So they would be very selective. Not every station is trained in rescues, like backcountry rescues. So they'd be very, very selective on who they call and how they call out. If it's in certain areas, they may not necessarily call out the closest station, right? And that could be based on, determined by current conditions. So let's say we're in the middle of July, it's hot. We have resources we know we have resources here, there, and everywhere else. And we typically try not to pull resources and drain certain areas of the county. We're very selective when it comes to that. And it all depends on the incident type and how do I say bad things are. Like, there's certain things when you get to a fire, yeah, it's a fire, but it's not moving, it's not going nowhere, it's not threatening anything. So we might need another bush truck, but we don't need 5, right? Or we don't need the bush truck from here. We can take the bush truck from here because we don't want to take that bush truck, because if another call comes in, it's nice to have that truck there, because that's a very volatile area, close to the mountains or close to the forest. So and we don't want to deplete like your high rivers, your Okotoks, or your down in valleys. We don't want to deplete resources from the town either, because they have an obligation through their fire department to protect their citizens as well in those well-populated areas. So we're very selective. That's kind of the call taking thing. And I did a little thing on fire agreements. And just to kind of go over that as well. So when I talk about the incident commander, our duty officers and I see their discretion is kind of the cornerstone of a safe, effective incident command system, right? They set objectives and they request, hold, decline, release resources as the incident profile, as they gather information, right? And there's a thing called span of control. And again, they don't want to deplete resources from other areas. So they're very very well at what they do. They're very good at what they do. So the duty officer, he's his decisions, there's life safety priorities he has, he's got to look at the capabilities, travel times, service areas, run cards, communications and operability, and maintain that safety or system readiness for other incidents that may or may not occur in other areas. So there's always that thinking going on. There's always, right? So it's not just that this is what we do, right? So sometimes the nearest station is not always called, right? So you have to look at, again, he has to evaluate who's available, who's already positioned. So we might even have other crews in the area already, right? So, for example, there was one structure, but I think maybe the one you were talking about, that we had crews already in the area. So what happened was there was a division of crews. So division from one area to another, right? Let's set the other crews to the other side. There was once you get on scene, you start making those determinations as information comes in, then you say, okay, maybe we need to pull on some more resources in. So that's kind of how it works. It's very active. It's not a set, this is how we do things, even though it is, but as we're asking commanders and the duty officers, they have to take a lot of things into consideration before they start pulling resources in or releasing resources or holding resources. It's a bit of a chess game. So there are, again, predetermined districts and boundaries that dispatch has. So that's kind of the starting point, right? And then after that starting point, things start flowing through duty officers, chief officers, and instant commanders, right? So we do have fire agreements, and in our fire agreements with High River, Diamond Valley, and Okotoks, there is pieces in there on mutual aid and assistance and stuff like that. And they're not, fire agreements are not a guarantee to be called outside of your response area. It's not a guarantee. The agreements create the capacity to assist, not a right to be dispatched. It's not entitlement to participate. Assistance is required when it adds measurable operational value, right? So safety, stabilization, property conservation, and this is all done when it makes sense, right? Because we have to be very strategic about how we manage crews, resources, fires, and all that stuff. So there's a limited amount of resources. You have to use them wisely, right? It's not unlimited or unconditional agreements define assistance types, fee schedules, hazardous sites, assumes professional discretion and recognized limits. There's also cost recovery within mutual aid agreements, which is applied when we do pull resources into our area to help us out, even though we do have cost share agreements as well. So there is that mechanism in place where they can recover costs, right? And it also has the liability in there as well, and as well as the coverage. So our responses, are grounded, and I've got some notes here, so I'm just going to read from my. Sure. If that's okay. So they're grounded in, there's policies, intermunicipal agreements, dispatch models. Proximity alone does not determine first due selection. Assignments are based on determination codes and pre-planned run cards, real-time availability capabilities, modeled travel time and access, jurisdictional service areas. So there's all these things that are factored into that, right? So we also have to put in there critical duty officer and incident command discretion en route or on scene. Our mutual aid and service agreements assistance is required when it adds measurable added value for life safety, incident stabilization, and property conservation. And again, it doesn't guarantee a call out outside of the department's defined response area. And it must not be interpreted as entitlement, really should. So we look at, what's best for the public, and we may have some assertions that why are we not getting called out because we're closer, right? So we have to look at the public interest, predictability, risk-based model, not an ad hoc proximity, right? Capability matters as much as minutes, right? The first due station must match the incident profile. So, and also the duty officer and IC discretion governs scaling and call proximity requests when it comes to additional resources when the value added is evident. And I'm going to put in here, I'm going to say something that may strike a little bit of a nerve some, but there's also the situation where we have to have that structured command system, right? Where duty officers and who's ever in command is the authority on scene that makes these decisions. That's what they're trained to do. But in some situations, we have freelancing and we have people unsolicited self-dispatching, right? So let's say we ask for a specific apparatus because we're doing a specific call and we say we need a tender. Perfect. We get a tender, but we also get 3 other trucks with that tender. Well, we didn't ask for the 3 other trucks. And what that does with your on-scene capabilities. So we have a system in place on scene where we keep track of it. It's coordinated. So if there's people that are showing up that are not called for, it starts to congest that scene. It starts to cause problems where now we don't know who's actually here, who's not here. Are they directing their crews? Are they directing our crews? Right. So there's a lot of different dynamics going on, especially if we ask for a tender and we have 3 other fire chiefs show up. Right. So we also have that structured layer of command in there as well. We have firefighters that report to captains report to chiefs. So if they see a white helmet on scene who's not actually in charge but are giving instructions, do they follow the instructions of the chief? So there's lots of confusion that happens. Yeah. So we have to make sure that that's structured. We have it structured, but we have to just remain structured. And we do have problems with that. We do have problems where we're asking for a specific piece of apparatus or a specific resource for the incident type that's going on, but we get multiple of other things coming. Even though we say that over the radio clearly, right, that we require this. And we end up getting 3 or 4 different things. So in that instance, it's easier for us to maintain that incident scene stabilization to say no, right? And if they do show up, stage them somewhere else off to one side, or simply send them home. Right? So that's kind of the approach we're taking. It's going to be it has to. Because we've seen it in the past where we have resources showing up and seeing it with like, what are you like? We didn't ask for this, right? And we've got this isn't something. This has been going on for a while, and we're looking. We have to sit and have a chat about this and look at ways to fix this, right? And so that's again. So like people. They need to understand that there's a reason why we do things, right? And as soon as you start going outside those boundaries, it causes confusion, chaos, right? And it throws things out of whack. It really can. So they have to really know. And, it's and then we have to talk about the radio congestion. So if we have someone coming on scene that wasn't asked for and they're always on the radio saying, I'm here, I'm over here, where do you need me? So that's taking up radio time. So that's part of the confusion as well. Right? We'll talk about that. And if they're sending resources that we're not asking for, or if we're trying to make those conscious decisions about not depleting resources in other areas, they just defeated that thought process that we had about doing that. So now they're actually taking resources from their area, out of that area, over to our scene when we didn't ask for it. Now we're going, well, now we don't have that over there. That's what our incident commanders are saying to themselves now. We don't have that coverage or resource over there now, where that's what we needed to stay, right? So that happens, right? Then there's that liability piece again, right? So if we're asking for a specific piece of apparatus, and we have 3 other different apparatus showing up. So how does that liability coverage happen now? So we didn't ask for that, but they're there, right? So now we're looking into liability, right? So we have to be very clear on our standards and our directives. Like we have to kind of solidify that and how that looks and make sure everybody understands that it causes more of a problem than it does aid. If we need you, we'll call you, right? If we don't need you, you're not getting called, right? It's that simple, right? And you know, even though we have the High Rivers, the Okotoks, and the Diamond Valley is a piece of that county that they cover, you know, our chief officer is still the authority having jurisdiction in that area. His role is the protection of the community and the people that we serve, right? Whether it's Diamond Valley's call area in the county or Okotoks call area in the county or High Rivers. Well, ultimately, the authority still have jurisdiction in that area, so we still have to make sure that this is being done appropriately and done right, right? Because that's our focus is public safety, right? First and foremost. And so when things like that happen, it starts to get out of control. It starts eroding, and we have to make sure that erosion, when it does happen, that doesn't create an even bigger problem. So we have to stay on top of that. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
No, I appreciate that.
Can I add one more
Sure.
thing? So specifically in the West Country, we also have, you mentioned some of our mutual aid partners, but we also have Redwood Meadows, which is very close to Highway 762. So they're a mutual aid partner as well. So maybe you could speak to that and the forestry. And then there's this agreement that we have on the boundary with Foothills and well, all our partners, but as you mentioned, like on the November incident you're speaking of, that some aren't even aware of this. They just heard that, you know, it took a while for this or that or the other thing, but they don't understand how quickly Alberta Forestry was there with the helicopter because power was out. So they didn't see all the Facebook posts being shared of the pictures of the helicopter. And sometimes we don't have a report. People aren't aware of all the report unless they call and ask for information from our department. But if you want to speak to that, that would be helpful too.
I'll just add with our mutual aid agreements, and that's maybe some of the misconception that people have is that our mutual aid agreements only apply to what's within the county. We have mutual agreements with everybody around us. We have Little Creek, Walton County, Wheatland, Calgary, Cetina, Redwood Meadows, Rocky View County, Forestry, right?
Yeah.
We have mutual agreements where we share resources. And we also have in our mutual agreements, there's a clause in there that says that if I'm not able to share a resource, it's not coming, right? Sorry, type of thing. That's based on if we're already on a call, that we've already depleted resources, because what you don't want to do is deplete all your resources from an area and then have something happen, because that's a bad thing. But we do have these agreements. And there is also, you know, the times when the provincial government starts requesting resources to go up north to fight fire, you know, the wildfires up north. We're very, very cautious and selective when that request comes out, because again, they normally make those requests when it's a highly volatile time of the year, right? So we have to look at resources, you know, and being our volunteer stations, you have to also look at, well, they're taking vacation time. There's people going away on the weekends. They may not be available, you know, this, that, and everything else. We have a lot of stuff going on. So we have to be very, very cautious on if we send. And I don't believe we sent anything last year for that simple fact that for the year before, it's been very dry for the last 3 years that I know of, for sure. So we're very cautious in how we select where we do move things, because our focus in the fire department, especially Foothills County, is for the Foothills County residents, right? Supporting other jurisdictions around us as well. So that's kind of our priorities. So whenever we have, so let's say, for example, we get a request from the provincial government to go up north to fight a fire. We're not the only ones getting a request. Diamond Valley gets a request, Okotoks also get a request, High River gets a request. So if we say no, because we think it's not operationally safe to send, but let's say Diamond Valley sends 2 trucks, Okotoks sends 2 trucks, and High River sends 2 trucks. Now we have to go, what are we going to do? Right? Now we're down 6 trucks in the area that can provide service in the county. So now we have to play musical trucks and move things around accordingly to make sure that we're covered, right? So that's where we have to have that open line of communication between the stations that are within Foothills County, because they have an obligation to protect a certain area as well as we do. That's part of our agreements and our cost share. So when they're not communicating, which has happened, when they're not communicating with us, when they're sending resources away, we have to shift gears. So there's a lot of things that have to be maintained and focused on, right? And if we get into a fire situation out in Prentice, Certina might be called first, Redwood Meadows might be called first, depending on resources, where we're at, you know, we may not call any resources depending on the situation that we're facing. Okay? And that's the decision of the duty officers and the incident command. That's what they're trained to make those decisions on the fly. So.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I guess just growing up where I live now, you know, fire has always been a big concern. So maybe I'm a little hyper vigilant and super aware of fire smarting issues and things like that. So no, I mean, I understand it is just when you have gale force winds, that was a pretty scary last incident that we had, not being self-serving, but it was like 2 miles from where I live. So yeah, it's just to voice concern from
Yeah, no, I
my division. So,
I'm-
and not just my division, but you know, it's a heavily treed, very hard to fight fires out there. Well, fire gets going, it's bad.
And that's that same fire, that same area. Was it 2 years before, 3 years
Yes,
before that?
they're
Exactly the same
exact
spot.
same place. Yes, I know that.
I was on that one.
Yeah.
And we were on that fire for 5 days.
Yep.
Hot spots because we went to the park and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But we had Redwood Meadows, we had Forestry, we had Diamond Valley, we had Prentice, Spruce, Heritage Point. We had everybody was out that night. The High River was out, Okotoks, because it was a bad night.
yeah,
We got to a situation where we had RCMP doing some checks because you know we
heavily populated area
there's
too.
populated areas, so we were thinking, well, this fire is moving this way. We had it kind of contained, so it wasn't moving fast, but we knew that what direction was going, so we did a couple door knocks. But we had RCMP, like we just didn't have the resource, so RCMP, we'll do that. We had EMS, you know, park where trees were down so people could see that so they wouldn't drive over the trees that were down across the road. So there's certain things that were moving all at the same time. The thing that helped a lot was we had a snowfall that same night and the snow helped.
Yeah.
It did. But like I said, it got into the park, into the trees, into the roots, and we were on that thing for about 5 days, just digging, making sure that it was completely. But that's another thing too. There's a transfer of resources, so we put resources on a scene like that for you know a few hours. We'll swap crews out, so that's a simple tone out. But you also have to make sure that there's a lot of things were going on that we have to make sure that everything's covered still, because you never know when that next call's going to come in or the next call, right? We had multiple calls on that. Every station was out and there was a lot of things happening, but it was one of those things where we utilized our mutual aid agreements, right? We utilized our resources. We had actually called Certina. They were on their own situation, then they were asking us for resources. We're asking each other for resources at the same time, right? And so we managed. We had Redwood, and Redwood split because they had another call come in, so they split resources. Right? That it was a night. But that's kind of how things evolve and how you have to make those decisions, because you have to keep in mind that things are happening. Things could still potentially happen. You don't want to just suck the resources into one spot, right? Because then you're even further. Right?
So if I made one last behind the scenes that you guys have done the homework on is we did the Northwest Foothills Wildfire Mitigation Strategy, and in that water resources were identified, and I'm sure in the rest of the county as well. So that behind the scenes, water resources. So wherever something's happening, the fire department is aware of where those resources are. And of course, we have this awesome bulk fill station west as well that works very well and pumps at a high rate, and it's clean water for the expensive trucks and numerous other reasons. But I just thought I'd mention that because that's a specifically this country thing.
Yeah.
So just, okay, well, thank you for all the explanation. Is there other questions or clarifications in relation to this or the 2025 annual report? Anybody else?
May I just ask one more question here? Maybe missed that last year or in the end of the last year here. Turner Valley and Black Diamond, they had the merger going on.
Yeah.
And what is the status now? Because, you know, last time I thought I heard was that they were squabbling because they thought our services were too expensive to join us.
Oh, that's been, yeah, we
Long
have
time
an
ago,
agreement
right?
in place now. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a mutual
Yep,
agreement.
that's all the rectified.
The borders are staying the same, Turner Valley and Black Diamond.
Yeah, so the Turner Valley Black Diamond Usini map are now one,
Mhm.
and the actual border is the same.
Okay, so similar situations like we have with Okotoks.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
One more.
Go ahead.
Sorry. So I see the Turner Valley Black Diamond, they're split red and blue here. And that was basically because the bridge. That you want some resources on both sides of the bridge.
Yeah, so they do have, they
Now
still have the two stations, so, yeah, and there is,
So it's split, so it's all one now.
it's all one now, so as the map, it's just a 2018 map that's in, but the blue and the red are now one.
Right.
Yeah. But they do still have the two stations.
Yeah.
Station 2 and Station 3.
Right. Any other questions? So at this time, I'll look for a motion just to accept the 2025 year in review for information. If somebody would like to provide that, thank you, Jack. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Now we have a verbal update from our fire chief on Community Connect.
Yeah, I don't have too much written report prepared for this, more just a discussion, but this ties into our D2 inspector position from last year. So the second phase of that was building the Community Connect module, which he's working on now. And this module is basically for our citizens and our business owners. They can come online, sign up for an account, and share whatever information you want with the fire department. It's a secure system. It's got bank level safety. Lots of departments are running this now. Calgary Fires just brought it on. Okotoks Fire's been running it for a while. Chestermere. This is going to replace our berm permit software. I know we had some discussions in here. There's been some questions about it. You know, for the citizens, it's going to be sharing whatever information they want to share. There's no obligation to sign up for this program. If you want a burn permit, you are going to have to sign up for this and make an account. It is exactly the same information they are entering on our current software. The only difference is once you build an account, now when you want to burn again, you just click into your account and hit burn permit, and the information comes through. So we really think this is going to streamline the process. We printed some things up. I handed one out here. I don't think we have one digitally yet to you, Suzanne, but I can get one. But this is the type of thing we printed up some media options that all the fire trucks in the county will be carrying and handing out to residents on calls and at PR events. We are going to be reaching out to, we'll be utilizing our social media, but also radio and Western Wheel and those type of avenues to talk about this in the next coming weeks. You folks here are able to go on now and build an account if you want to play with it after the meeting and see what it's all about. And we're looking at launching and replacing the burn permit software if everything stays on pace for February 17th is our go live date. I guess I can take some questions on that. That's about all I have prepared, but yeah, it's simple. There's a QR code, thanks, on the back of the card that you can just take a picture with, and it'll take you right to the portal to build your account, and you're up to the races.
You can also access this through the Foothills County website.
We are working with Ledge Services right now, so that is the intention, but it's not there today. But on 17th, it will all change to this. Yep. So all the information, we're working with our Ledge Services team, looks after the website. So we're working with them right now in the background. So all the information for our residents will be on there if they have any questions about the, the safety of their data or what they need to upload it. Hopefully everything will be right there for them.
So don't share this yet, wait till February 17th.
You folks, I wouldn't share it with too many people right now. We're trying to do a soft launch right now. It's built. We're working out some kinks right now, and we still have to train our dispatch center. So our dispatch center gets a login to our software program, and when people fill out a burn permit, it comes here for approval. Once it's approved, it shows up on their map. So we're doing those training pieces. But if you want to go on and build an account, and if you want to share it with a few people, that's what we're trying to do now, is just get a few people and work out the kinks.
So is it for more than burn permits? Cause it says here, help your first responders when seconds.
Yeah. So there's different icons on there. So if you want to share your gate code or your pets or your house door code, whatever you want to share with us, you can, and not just residents, businesses can create this as well. And again, there's no obligation to do that. But what happens when you do share that information on your account, if we get toned to your residents for some sort of call, the information you've shared will pull up on the responding iPads in the truck. So the crews responding can see your gate code, or that you have children or pets or whatever you want to share.
So would you like us to, like, I know Suzanne and I write in the High Country News, is that something that you'd like us to, when the time comes, you know, make
Absolutely,
more people aware of?
absolutely. That'd be great.
If you have an official statement.
Security. Information security.
Yeah, it's, I'm
sure they will.
I'm not an IT guy, but it's bank level security that's on there. And excuse me, when we put this on the websites, and you know, it's on our flyers that we're gonna hand out as well. It talks about the security and how safe the system is to reassure people. Like I say, major centers are using this. They've had no issues. Down in the States, Los Angeles, major, Chicago, they're all using this system, and it's a great source of communication for the fire department.
No, that's
Just on the, it was mentioned about the connection with the website. So will the burn permit section still stay on the website till if people are familiar with the other options?
It's gonna be
It's
one
also,
system to the next.
okay, so there'll be. a
Because
link on the-
dispatch needs to maintain, even on the
One.
current system, they have a login. And they go in now and see what burn permits are there, and when
Yeah.
the residents call in, they line it all up and put it on their map. So we're gonna take that system away and launch this system.
Okay.
So-
Okay, so obviously you'll be doing some PR related to that, so.
It is all lined up.
You're gonna have
Yeah,
a lot of phone calls.
yeah, and that's why that avenue is greatly appreciated, because the more we
Okay.
can get this news out to our residents, the
Yeah,
better. So we'll
that's
take any
great.
opportunities for that. So you'll start to see our social media posts, you know, coming soon, starting next week, that type of thing. And we're gonna start trying to get the information out to the public.
Very
right now.
good.
Alex,
Any
can I
other
add to that a little bit?
Yeah, go
Susan-
ahead, Sherry.
Suzanne, we will still have a link to it on the county's website, though. So
Okay.
I believe most people go there to link to the burn permit site currently. So
Right.
that portion of it shouldn't change that much. Unless correct me if I'm wrong, Alex.
No, you're right. It's just gonna take them to a different
The
platform.
new
When
platform,
they,
Yeah.
yep,
correct.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly. Yeah, so there
Good,
shouldn't be
so-
too much confusion right at the start. It'll be the same path to get to a different end.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you for the update.
Mhm.
Any other questions on that? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to accept that update and community connect. So from John then. All in favor? Everyone, moving along to decommissioning of gear proposal, and would that be, looks like I have two names here, but Fire Chief, are you looking at
I'll
that?
take that one, yeah.
Okay.
So we did a similar project back in March of 22. Basically exactly the same. There's not too much to this. I don't think it's more a talking feature, but our gears by standards is good for 10 years. So since 22, we've kind of been stockpiling our expired gear that we can't put our members in anymore, and that's bunker gear, boots, that type of thing. And we've got quite a pile now, so we're reaching out using the same company we used in 2022. They send our gear to countries that otherwise wouldn't be able to get this gear. Less fortunate, I guess. And in 22, the company that Chief Sonia at that time used sent all the gear to Ukraine. And we've spoken to them and they're gonna do the same thing if this goes forward. So it's just expired gear that we can't put our members in anymore. The list on page 2 summarizes how much of each item we have to go. So we're just looking for a motion from the fire board to take this to council to approve decommission of old gear and donate it.
So moved. Thank you. So Jack gives us that. And we have a proposed motion on the bottom of the first page that the rural fire board recommend to council that the decommissioning of all expired obsolete equipment and donation to the firm of IRN in Calgary for subsequent repurposing to developing nations. Okay, somehow in there we'll get the verbs right. And that was moved, all in favor. Moving along. Next agenda item is the thermal imaging camera proposal, and Fire Chief, I believe you're taking this one as well?
Yeah, I can take this one as well. So we've all seen the movies and the TV shows with the firefighters walking through, you know, burning buildings, passing the flames and finding 13 people on the 3rd floor and carrying them all out. And that's not really how this works. So when we go into the fires, you can't see a thing. You can't see the hand in front of your face. You're crawling around. So thermal imaging cameras is a basic firefighter tool. This isn't a luxury item. This is something that is a life changer for staff on the floor. So the thermal imaging cameras basically let our firefighters see. It's a handheld camera that detects heat, for lack of better words. They can see through the smoke. They can see victims laying on the floor. When we arrive to a structure fire, the officer will typically 360 the structure and try to see what's going on. He's using these cameras to see where through the walls, where the fire could be hidden in the walls, where victims may be. And then when, of course, they make entry, we work in pairs, but when they make entry, then Osman and the captain go in and each have one to try to identify victims and egress routes and things of that nature. History on the thermal cameras with this department, Director Sonia might want to chime in on this, but we've kind of bought cameras through our operating budget as we went, and it hasn't worked out real good. Presently, we have 7 cameras in the fleet of various quality. They're all older. Some don't turn on. Blackie Fire right now presently doesn't have a camera. Last year, we ended up buying one of these seat cameras, which is what I'm after here. We demoed it here. Calgary Fires bought these units as well, and they're using them. It's a really good camera. So in the proposal, we tested 3 of the front running cameras, and we kind of go through the resolution, thermal sensitivity. I thought someone might ask me what MK means, so I looked that up for you. So that's millikelvin. It's a unit measuring thermal sensitivity. So the lower the MK, the more sensitive the camera is to changing atmospheres and temperatures. So the seat didn't win every category, but it did very, very well. One of the important items is the 3rd item, that the seek and FLIR start colorization at 302 Fahrenheit. That's kind of an important piece for us. The weakest part of our firefighting gear is our face masks, and they start to break down at around 302. So it's important that the firefighters going into that structure are able to see those temperatures as they get into those environments. So it held very well. Checked out the battery features on it. It has another flashlight on it where the others did not. The company we're looking at the Seeks from also will take our 7 units in for trade and give us $3,787 for credit for our 7 cameras. We do have a capital pre-approved of $50,600. Like I say, we did buy one of these cameras last year out of our operating to kind of test it. It's done very good. So I would like to in this proposal, we're proposing buying 11 units at 47,523, which is under the capital allotment, which will give each station, each front running engine, 2 cameras to operate with. So I guess that's kind of the quick proposal on it. So Hope Fire Board will put forward a motion to take this to council for approval of the 11 cameras, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And you can see on the last page, sorry, Councilor. You can see on the last page, our firefighters work on these proposals for us. So our firefighters done a good job on this. So he's kind of put together where the Seek Attack Pro and the other two compare. So you can kind of compare the specifics for each camera there. So the Seek Attack Pro is really the one we're after. It comes in well under price compared to the other two manufacturers. I guess I'll leave it at that and answer any questions anyone has for that.
Thank you. Well, it looks like you guys have done your homework on this. Obviously, these 11 are to be dispersed throughout the fire halls. I'll give you that little hot. Take this to council.
So proposed motion on the bottom, basically that the fire board recommend this to council, the 11 Seek Attack Pro thermal imaging cameras, and that not to exceed $47,523 Canadian plus tax. So we'll just add plus tax to that. Wait, other conversation on this before we go to it?
Just to put a historical perspective on this, when thermal imagers first started coming in with fire service, I did a training session in 2002 with High River. And they were one of the first departments in Southern Alberta to get a thermal imaging camera. They paid $38,000 for it. I attended
For one?
for one. Yeah, that was very expensive.
Back in the day.
I attended fundraising events and I did the training session with them. And it's a 3-day training session. The thermal imager was helmet mounted, weighed 8 pounds. So 8 pounds went on the helmet. So you look for guys with big necks. And it was like those were cutting edge back in the day, because Calgary used to have these EEVs, thermal imagers that were about this big. And they would use it after the fact. So where this has gone, this technology, it changes every 3 or 4 years. Like, it's amazing how fast it's. The cameras Calgary just purchased. They purchased cameras 6 years ago, which were they don't make them anymore. So this is a great deal. Thanks, Joe. It's kind of fun.
Great. Any other comments?
I had back in the day when I was in the UK, I had an electrical business, and part of my business was thermography as well. Definitely in the 90s, I had a thermal image FLIR camera, and it was £55,000. And it was this big.
Yes.
Backpack?
It was back, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
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 And the sleeks aren't much bigger than your cell phone.
Yeah,
Slightly bigger, but not
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
But they
What
can
are these
take
ones
the
weigh?
heat. Well,
I'm sorry.
What do these ones weigh?
I'd have to look it up. I actually don't know.
Very similar to this.
Yeah, they're just little.
They're little, yeah, they're very light. I just don't know the actual weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can actually get thermal imagers now that mount inside your SCBA mask.
oh,
But they're that small. The first, the iris that they had was, there was 2 images, so you're looking at it with 2 eyes. But your eyes actually make it into one image when you look around. But with the Karen's iris back then, they didn't do that. So you had guys wearing these heavy things bumping in a wall. And that's why a 3-day training instruction was
we'll come out alive.
yeah, it was kind of fun.
Wow. Okay, so we have a motion. If there's not any other questions, I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. for your votes. And do we have now rapid response 6 proposal by Fire Chief? Please go ahead.
Right. So I had the guys put this truck out front for the people that are here. to see it. It's basically an F-350 with a lockable canopy on it, 4-wheel drive. We use these trucks to tow our ATVs, our boats, specialty equipment, medical equipment, that type of thing. We're presently running these F-350s. Longview Station has one, Heritage Point has one, and they've done great for us. I'm just trying to think of some of the calls. We did a call last winter with Calgary Police, actually came out on a search and rescue where these bigger trucks were able to drive through fields and try to look for people. And we kind of need a bigger truck to launch our boat into the river and things of that nature. So this proposal, we have a truck out in Pritis that's a 99. I kind of giggle that it's got a security system. It's a standard. So we only have a few people that can drive it. The new people can't drive it, so it's kind of but anyway, it's a 99 F-450. So the proposal is we looked at High River Ford, the GM dealerships in both High River and Okotoks. High River Ford was cheaper. So we're trying to purchase a 26 F-350 from High River Ford, put the canopy on it, decals, all that type of thing, to replace this 1999 standard F-450 out in Pritis. It'll go out to Pritis. We do have capital, pre-approval capital through our budget process of $90,000. It's a tight build, but the guys looking after this project can do it just slightly under that 90,000. At 89,866.05. Yeah, that's tight, but
You must be getting,
we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are getting a good deal on it. I guess I leave it at that, and I'll take any questions that you might have. But the plan is to replace this 1999 out in Pritis and send that unit to auction and try to recoup.
Just that's a 27-year-old truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just have a question. How come you hire people who can't drive a standard vehicle?
It's a new generation. They're not easy to find anymore.
I don't get it. I do not get that.
Well, maybe we should keep the truck for training.
Yeah, no, I could go on that truck,
Doesn't know you anything.
wait, no, it doesn't. It's done great for us, and there's some members out in Pritis that have been around for a while that actually do enjoy that truck, and but the last few times we've used it's needed a lot of love from Public Works, so it's time. So
Yeah, kudos to you for keeping it on the road. I mean, I'd buy it because it's newer than my farm trucks. Looks, but I'm sure it's in better shape.
Very strong, everything.
Yeah.
Needs a clutch though, for some new drivers learning.
Still a warning on that.
Yeah, just throwing it out there, yeah. I wanna sell you a lemon.
Yeah.
That's good to know, because when you see these fancy painted vehicles, driving around, just have to say, as Joe Blow on the street, you're kind of like, oh gee, these guys get to drive these fancy new vehicles. So kudos to you for keeping an old vehicle on the road like that. That's commendable, and I would encourage that. So
I should come your way because I'm afraid that it's.
Yeah,
Thank
you mentioned auction trading, and isn't, would you get $100 for it? I don't know, it's still.
That's
functioning,
out of
right?
my wheelhouse. We take it to Public Works and they
And
kind of
they'll
clean it up
build it
and do that.
permanent?
Yeah,
Okay.
they look after that for
Okay,
us.
good
So.
to know. Public Works is a partner there.
just curious, are dealers kindly to public, vehicles? You said you're getting a deal, is that pretty common for a dealer to give the fire departments a good deal?
Yeah, it's not so much the name fire department, but through our government pricing, we do get better pricing that way.
Because that's something I would advocate for somewhere along the line. I just think that, these vehicles are for public service. They're not for anybody's really enjoyment, and
Yeah. We
You know.
we do. High River Ford's treated us really, really good. Our 3 F-150s last year came from High River Ford, and without the paperwork in front of me, I think we were just over $50,000 per F-150, which an XLT is like 70, 80 plus. So they really do look after us down there, so it's been good.
Thank you. So we have a motion before us from Paul, and it is 89,866.05 plus tax. So just add that on there. And no further discussion. Do you have a question? Or vote? Are you ready to vote? Okay, so all in favor of the motion. Thank you very much. Number 7, last of our new business, and that is AHS lights and sirens. Over to our director on this one.
Yeah, so I'll work on this one here. That's the fire chief to chime in. They had a meeting not that long ago. AHS came in, they had a meeting with MFR, medical first response departments, on a program to announce that give out this information about lights and sirens. So it looks like there's a possible change. It hasn't been 100% confirmed just yet, that AHS might be moving to avoid using lights and sirens for the more not so critical calls that they go to. The reason for that is they did a study, a provincial study was done, and they found that the use of licensed sirens generates a high risk. All right. So to avoid that risk, they decided that, less use of the lights and sirens for the non-critical events might help to avoid getting into a high-risk situation with the ambulances. They're not telling us that we need to follow suit. They've asked if we would. So that decision's totally up to us. And again, from what I understand through Alex, is that they did a bunch of surveys as well. So they still go through a survey process with the fire departments out there and get their take on things. And from what I understand, in the meeting, that there was a lot of questions from the fire departments as well regarding this change that they're thinking about doing. So this is just basically just information right now to a possible transition from lights and sirens and our AHS medical response. If this goes through, if you want my thoughts on this, there was lots of discussion at that meeting. That I wasn't in that meeting, but from what I understand through Alex, there was lots of discussion at that meeting about the effects it'll have on response times, and stuff like that. We typically, when we get called out to medical calls, whether it be first response or call response, there is typically a bit of a wait time for an EMS unit to arrive on scene. Some of the concerns were these wait times go now to elevate to a longer wait time. We don't know that if that's truly what's going to happen. You would think it would if they're taking the time to get there, but so we'll have to wait and see where they go with this. And I believe January was the date. January 27th was the day. They were going to haven't heard nothing since. Any further information on this? So we'll have to wait and see what their decision is and if they're going to proceed forward with this. It doesn't change anything for the fire department, so it's a bit of an ask. It wasn't a tell, and I don't believe we'd be changing our running orders at all. So I think we're just going to maintain, continue doing what we're doing, serve our community and other people. So it's just information. And my report was just derived from the 2 reports that I provided. They just provided us.
Very good. Questions, comments?
I understand that it's, thank you, Madam Chair. I understand that it's driver's discretion anyways, according to the chart here. And I mean, if someone's not breathing or something like that, the sirens are going on.
So it's color specific. It's in your handout there. So anything Delta Echo, we call it, which is your cardiac arrest, things of that nature, it is lights and sirens. That's not a choice. Anything less than that, depending on the information that's received, the paramedic has a choice to turn his lights on or her lights on, does not have an option to turn them off. So if they are told that it's a Delta Echo, they are coming lights and sirens. If they get told it's a nosebleed, there's lots of blood, they can decide to turn on their lights. Once they turn on their lights, they're not turning them off.
Yeah.
I sat in the meeting. There was a lot of fire departments from Alberta in the meeting. It didn't go over real good with us. We think AHS is good friends of ours for sure, but we think that the lack of information, meeting with the public, that type of collaboration was being very rushed. Yeah, the meeting was a tough meeting for them. And they turned around after and sent us a survey, and we filled that survey out, and the last I heard, it's a go. So I think January 27th, the residents are gonna start seeing ambulances show up without lights and sirens to certain calls. And we'll have to monitor it, and see what that looks like for us moving forward. So they basically came out in the meeting and said, this is what we're doing. If you want to follow suit with us, you're more than welcome, but we're not asking you to. And away you go. So some fire departments are planning on following what's here. You know, I've talked to High River. At this time, they don't plan on changing their response protocols. I've reached out to Okotoks as well, and they're looking at it, but haven't made a decision yet.
Chief, it would probably be different fire services departments right here, St. Albert. That's good.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're handling it, to be honest. City of Calgary, Edmonton was in this meeting and they were scathing about it. To change their response procedures takes a lot of time. It's not a quick thing. So there was a lot of upset people in the meeting about it, to be honest. So right now, I think every fire department's just trying to gauge it and see how they're gonna handle it moving forward.
I'm just surprised about the numbers they're quoting here from 80% to 33%. You wonder what, for the 47%, what they did the last, 15 years, right? So
They talked in the meeting about, accident reduction. The studies we found contradict that, I think is fair. Don't back that up. Airdrie Fire spoke out in that meeting that they've hired consulting companies to research that for the city of Airdrie. And their data contradicts what AHS does, that the lights and sirens help. It makes it safer. It makes the response quicker. So Airdrie spoke about that in the meeting as well. They were quite upset by this initiative. A lot of our stats we found with AHS was incidents was driver error, not really related to lights and sirens or speed for that matter. Yeah.
So they might change as well in the major centers. Like you take Calgary, it's a big place with lots of people driving.
Yeah.
And they don't see guys in cars. They don't see the guys with lights and sirens.
Yeah.
Cops are always getting, you get crashed into, guys wouldn't yield. So reducing some of those, we would call guys for, let's say an accident. We need fire to clean up. Don't need lights and sirens. The guys would show up, lights and sirens.
Yeah. And that might be a communication piece. I can't, we're probably a little easier to get that information through on our end. We'll get notification of cold response, so no lights and sirens. So we'll do that too. We'll come. So some of the calls will come called cold when we're notified like that as well.
The incidents on the highway would be a lot less too, because you can see a fire truck for 3 clicks.
Yeah.
Right. So going lights down the highway isn't that big a deal. And you're probably still only doing 120.
Our big trucks are
Right. So like
it'll be interesting to see it and see how it plays out. For the delays on medical calls, that's the piece I'm looking at. My personal thing as well. Sorry, is I think it's really poor perception. showing up to someone's emergency. Not showing lights and sirens, but we'll see how it plays out, how it affects our medical response calls and delays and things of that nature. I think you're seeing a lot of centers that are waiting 15-20 minutes for an ambulance already. What is this going to do to that? So when they implement that, I think there's going to be a lot of fire departments looking at that.
And I did some further research on this as well when I was first made aware of this. And I dug a little deep into this whole risk with licensed sirens, and I found a study that shows that licensed sirens were the highest risk when it comes to emergency services. It's more driving habits. 92.6% of accidents with emergency vehicles were a result of poor driving habits. Not lights and sirens or speed, or well, speed's part of that, but basically 92.6% was the reason for that, was the habits, how people drive. Yeah. So just want to throw it out there.
So today, are you looking for any response from the fire board in terms of a motion at all? Just to accept the information, would that be appropriate?
Just accept the information this time.
Okay, any other questions or comments before we look to that motion? So anyone who'd like,
Just say that, you know, there's the flip side of life and not arriving to someone's emergency with lights and sirens is that, you know, for people with PTSD, the lights and sirens can be
Jarring.
and triggering when, especially when you're already in an emergency. So just, there's always kind of two sides to the
balance,
story of, I mean, I get it if it's your emergency.
And a lot
you
of-
don't show up with lights, like, don't you take me seriously, but
I think for the most part, that's going to be the feedback I'm worried about.
yeah.
Speaking of the first half, we do get a lot of callers, and when we get dispatched, it's, could you please turn off your lights and sirens on arrival? So we do get that, not just with people experience that, but with animals, horses,
Yeah.
especially that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, but you're right.
Yeah, cause you guys are kind of desensitized to it. I would probably say a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
would you like to make that motion?
Sure.
Great, so our moves are acknowledged here for information. All in favor? Thank you. Just get your motion. Okay, and moving on to closed session, do you have an item?
Yes, we do.
Yes, excellent. So I will take a motion to go into closed session. Someone wants to move that. Mark. And I will check in with you, Manager Garrett, to just let us know when we are no longer streaming for that closed session meeting.
Okay, we are 3, 2, 1.
Back to our Foothills County Fire Board meeting. We just merged from closed session and I will ask Paul to make a motion. And that we bring forward this closed session item to council for consideration. Let's go ahead. Make that motion.
I make the motion.
Thank you. So Paul makes that motion. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Great. Now we're on to the round table and I just will head around and see if anybody has anything additional. Any news or updates that you'd like to share at this time? Start with you, Director. Anything else?
Nothing for me.
Beef. No, this shaking of hands. Go ahead. Do you have anything to charge out?
Just a question for you, Rick. I noticed Foothills County is one of the few counties that use what 3 words as an option for dispatch. Sorry? Oh, you didn't know that? What 3 words is a location that is, it takes a 3 meter by 3 meter spot, no matter where you are. And they use it in Europe a lot for the narrow streets, things like that. And I have a what 3 words for my house. I could do a what 3 words here. And you just go on the app and for what 3 words, and it pinpoints exactly where you are, and it uses satellite communication, so you don't need a cell signal or anything like that. And they use it in England for emergency response because it's in the narrow streets. And I just saw that Foothills County, it's an option here as well. That the dispatch center uses what 3 words as one of the few counties.
Just check it out.
Well, we've used, and I don't know how they.
Okay, I just threw it out there.
Yeah.
Like for our bed and breakfast, I use what 3 words for European visitors coming. They come right to my door. You know, it works much better than any other.
It's kind of like dropping a pin.
It's kind of like dropping a pin, but like if I'm sitting on my front porch, it's different than if I'm in my office. It's
What's it called?
what 3 words?
I did have a call not that long ago.
Close the batteries low, so we're not plugged in with the streaming computer, so I'm sorry to bug you, but continue with.
I did think it was interesting that Foothills County has it.
So we had a call, I had a call.
Somebody's gonna do that, I can do that, I don't, you can, oh, mine's the same, so. Because mine's battery is on as well.
That's
so it's
connected.
indicating
Farm
that
girl.
plugged in.
Where are you?
Is it the power
Suzanne.
switch on
There it
the?
There's a switch, reset.
There you go.
Yeah, because it actually was when I
Okay,
plugged in.
all right,
Is that it?
I think you got it, yes,
Well done.
okay, we decoded an important emergency right during the fire board meeting, so thanks for all the talent that went on that. I researched it a while ago, nice to know you're using it, but would you guys just check into it and see?
I've written it down. I'll look into it.
Yeah, we're checking it, but I do recall, well, it was quite a while ago now, we had a river rescue, we had some people stranded down the river, right? And I asked dispatch if there's any way they can pinpoint these, so we could find. Well, it was middle of the night, darker than the inside of a cow, and you couldn't see nothing, right? And they actually dropped, like, on my phone, I dropped a pin on my phone with the map, and and there they were, right there on the bank. It was.
Like if I do a what 3 words for a location right here, it's these 3 words mean nothing. It's termed impeached puppets. Like a dot between each one. And it was developed actually in the mission fields for missionaries who were in the middle of the Congo or wherever for planes finding him. And I found out, a friend of mine, he grew up in Bolivia. He goes, oh yeah, we use that. Really? So I've been using it for the last 5 or 6 years. And the Europeans are they know exactly what I'm talking about.
So most of the time here, they'll triangulate on cell phones or cell towers.
Yeah.
So like those guys down there, they could have hit off on a cell.
She had a phone, that she didn't want to call them, what it was, the pin was, where they dropped it, exactly where they were. It was really proud.
guess the only thing that you could type in or say the word wrong. And then whereas
Oh,
a
yeah.
pin, it's pretty accurate, right?
Yeah. But opinion, you need to sell.
True.
Right.
I found it amazing technology.
It's just another tool, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
out there. So-
And I was very surprised when it said Foothills County is one of the municipalities that use it.
So then is it an app that you downloaded on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an app.
Okay. Dispatch does use what, 3 words?
So imagine if I had an instance in my area where I had to call a dispatch, I can give them just 3 words. They know exactly where I'm standing.
Yeah, so I'm being told dispatch uses it. The problem is the caller needs to be using it as well, or it doesn't.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's a free app, but yeah. The Dutch, I think.
Thank you for that update. Over to John, you have any update
I don't have anything today.
or sharing?
I would like to read Stan's questions, if that's okay. Stan
Sure.
Sievert?
Or do we want to give the director a chance? Do you want, did you get those questions in the inbox? Okay,
The first one doesn't really apply anymore because it's about the fire chief. He's just asking about being a vacant position.
Okay.
Second, it might be prudent to review the policies and ways in which the staff and county are looking after the volunteers at each fire station after any traumatic events. Follow-ups on mental health, possible therapy available, and also insurance policies in the unlikely event that a volunteer lost their life or was injured. I'll just read these off because there's just a couple more. 3, I did not see anything in the yearly review about our own fire and loss of building and equipment at Redwood Meadows, which I think Rick addressed at council, but anyways. Can talk to that. 4, I'm still trying to understand the stats and specifically the Heritage Point outflow along with other stations on the same calls. Is it necessary and how vulnerable does that leave Heritage Point? Rick addressed that. Number 5, why do we not have volunteers at Heritage Point when it would clearly be the most sought after location for it? And 6, when was the last time there was a discussion about a main fully staffed station being built in the Alderside area and much input around that? These are just Stan's
and you have
questions.
the written
Do you have
version.
it?
He's got it in front of him, so.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm waiting on you thinking. Dive right in if you want to take them. Thank you.
Well, the one that I can address right now is the one about Redwood Meadows. That was actually Redwood Meadows Fire Station and the information on that fire, cause, origin, all that stuff like that is their investigation and they can provide us with that information. So it's we haven't had any of our own loss, building or equipment due to fire. But the information that is out there is the information that they put out to the media. If anybody wants to take a look, you can actually look at media and Facebook. I know that they've had some donations and they have a new tender out there as well that they actually was in service, but I know there was a donation because they were looking for donations when they lost them. That was posted on Facebook. But as far as the fire itself, I can't comment on that. It's their fire, their investigation. And if they want to share the details with that, they can. That's totally up to them. It's outside of our jurisdictions.
I did reach out to Chief Evans on the night of the fire and had a good conversation with him, and we've had a couple talks since and asked if Foothills County in any way can help them out, but he feels they're doing pretty good right now and he'll reach out if we can assist in any way, but for now it seems like they're doing pretty good, so.
Thank you. Go ahead. Anything else you'd like to?
Well, there was question number 5 about the volunteers at Harris Point Station. When this, from my understanding, I wasn't involved in the conversation, but from what I understand was all first open up, I think that was kind of some of the discussion, if I'm correct on that. From what I understand through discussions with the fire chief at the time, that there wasn't a very good volunteer base here to staff the station, so they looked at a composite with full-time and part-time. And that's what kicked this fire hall off, so 2 full-time and 2 part-time firefighters on shift. And then it evolved into full-time, so there was, from what I understand, there was that appetite in the beginning. From what I heard, it just didn't work out, so.
Okay, thank you. And do you want to take anything on, or do you want to take them for the next meeting where you could prepare an answer?
The one about traumatic injuries and stuff like that, question number 2, that would be one I'd like to bring back to the fire board. There are mechanisms and avenues in place with our fire department, with the firefighters right now. I'd like to put something together as a package to show the fire board what we have in place for these traumatic events and how we deal with after action reports and firefighters that might be struggling with certain things. So there are mechanisms in place that we have here currently, so that deals with that.
The station, do you want to bring that one back too?
So which one's that?
The number 6 was the question on the station. Discussing an alternative location. There was previous discussions on the training center. There's a lot of different things that were irons in the fire previously. So do you want to bring kind of an update next time?
I could bring something back in the
So does that sound okay to you guys too? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And there's also question 4 we could add to the next agenda. So 2, 4, and 6.
2, 4, and 6. Okay. Great. Thank you. That sounds good. Did you have any? Yourself? I just wanted to share with. Well, we can clarify. I just wanted to share in the roundtable part that I had written an article in December for my High Country News, which was the summary from the fire department and the 911 on the event from November. And then I had the pleasure of interviewing Fortis afterwards as well, because they contribute to behind the scenes in an emergency. So that was my January High Country News. So if anyone's interested, I'm happy to share it, or you can find it online. I thought I'd like to include Fortis because they had some really great safety tips as well. And I wanted to put them in touch, and if people want to contact them, they can directly, but they have some great, when things are happening, whether it's power outage or they're part of an emergency where there's a power line down or whatever, they have been working in behind the scenes all this time, but we don't always pay attention to some of the other, if you want to call them, agencies that are working in on our emergencies. So that's all I wanted to share. And then our next meeting will be announced. We'll do a poll for everybody to come together when we have enough items to hold a meeting together. And a big thank you to everybody for coming in person. And I also wanted to recognize we did have our Deputy Director Stapley online as well. And I didn't see that at first, so I just want to thank him for attending, and also Manager Barrett for streaming us today. And is there any last comments? Otherwise, I'll take a motion for adjournment. So you've got Brian Price. Excellent. So Brian is giving us that motion to adjourn, and our time is 10:56 a.m. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.